I love the No More Heroes games. Suda51's pulp action saga has captivated me for years. He is a fascinating creator, and I am so glad that he is continuing to make games like No More Heroes. It's a game series that has a lot of thought put into it about a variety of topics, like a relationship with violent media, geek culture, the nature of revenge, and with Travis Strikes Again, the spin-off that was released a few years ago, it talks about game development itself. You might remember, if you've been a long-time viewer of this channel, that 11 years ago, I made a video ranking every boss fight in this series. Of course, at the time I'm recording this, No More Heroes 3 just released, so I figured it's the perfect time to go and revisit an old favorite project of mine from years ago. In keeping with my recent tier maker style, we are going to rank every single boss from every No More Heroes game, including Travis Strikes Again and No More Heroes 3. This should go without saying, but there will be spoilers for every game in the series, including the recently released No More Heroes 3, and of course, given what this series is, it'll also contain a lot of discussion about violent subject matter. So we're gonna start off by talking about No More Heroes 1, a game about a loser otaku, Travis Touchdown, who decides that he wants to be the greatest assassin in the world because he bought a lightsaber off eBay. Of course, the real star of the show in these games are the assassins of the United Assassins Association, which may or may not exist because the head of the association, Sylvia Crystal, is a con artist. And Travis Touchdown, of course, is the exact kind of macho dickhead that would fall for that kind of scheme because he literally just wants to get laid. It's an instantly hilarious and unforgettable concept right out the gate. This was around the time where Scott Pilgrim was also becoming a very popular name in the pop culture conscience. These two loser dickheads rising through the ranks, fighting crazy, colorful opponents in the style of, like, classic video games and pulp movies. And appropriately enough, we begin this list of ranked assassins, ne'er-do-wells, criminals, and sleazebags with a pretty excellent first boss, Death Metal. Death Metal kind of sets himself off as an immediate contrast to Travis because he's this seasoned assassin who's weary of all the bloodshed that he's caused to earn this lavish lifestyle and mansion. Meanwhile, Travis is just like, yo, I just want to be number one, I'm gonna fuck shit up. I'm gonna be the best, man. And Death Metal is just immediately just, like, done with Travis. He can just tell that Travis is this naive Joe Schmo that has no idea what he's getting himself into. Travis just wants fame and glory, and he has no idea what kinds of consequences are coming his way. That's a big theme in this series. The boss fight with Death Metal himself is pretty standard. It's a simple sword fight. He's able to clone himself with no explanation, which, believe it or not, ranks in the less weird tier of things that happen in this series. You can hear Travis monologuing to himself in the background, clearly just not listening to a thing Death Metal is saying. All the chicks he's gonna bang once he gets to rank 1, having this kind of lifestyle, and so yeah, Death Metal is an excellent start to the madness that is about to ensue, so he belongs in A tier at least. Next up is Dr. Peace. Now we're starting to get a bit more out there with the boss fights because Dr. Peace uses guns. This fight's actually pretty easy, all things considered. Like, you can just kind of walk around him and strafe his shots. There's a cool little gunslinger shootout thing where you have to draw your sword before he draws his gun. I would say that Dr. Peace is one of the first assassins that Travis has any modicum of empathy towards. You actually get to see Travis compliment Dr. Peace on his singing. He does have a pretty nice voice. Travis listens to Dr. Peace kind of ramble about his family troubles, being divorced, having a daughter who he's kind of estranged from, and yet Dr. Peace is kind of addicted to the violent lifestyle like Travis is. It kind of ends on this melancholy note that I think kind of sets the tone for a lot of later assassins. I like Dr. Peace a lot. He's gonna go in A tier as well. Shinobu. I'm just gonna say it right up front. Shinobu has probably the best character design in the series on par with Travis. Like, her being dark-skinned and having just this brilliant white spiky hair, it is instantly recognizable. She's become one of the most popular characters in this series for a reason, to the point where she survives to go on to No More Heroes 2 as a playable character for a few stages, and even returns for Travis Strikes Again and No More Heroes 3. When I was younger, I always associated Shinobu with some of the jankier aspects of her gameplay in No More Heroes 2, and it kind of colored my opinions of the character, but years later, honestly, I think she's brilliant. I'm gonna put her in S+ right out of the gate, because after replaying her boss fight in the first No More Heroes game, it's so much better than I remember. It's a hard boss fight, but mostly because she's so fast. It's a boss fight that you really cannot brute force in order to win. Like, if you try to dark step her or give a long string of combos, like, she will just dodge right out of the way and try to attack you somewhere else. That one attack she does late in the fight where she deals a lot of damage at a long range, it kinda comes out of nowhere, but after playing the fight long enough, you do kinda get used to it. As for the character herself, in the first game she is a walking samurai film cliche, saying stuff like,
"I will now avenge my father!"
Honestly, one of my favorite things about this character is seeing how she's developed over time. In Travis Strikes Again, you actually learn that she's been taking care of a dojo full of kids, and they all seem to really love her. Travis kind of goes through the whole moral dilemma of her making money to take care of them while also being an assassin herself, but the kids don't mind. They think she's pretty osu. So for this list, she's getting an S+. Oh, here he is, the man himself, Destroy Man. He with the giant penis laser and the gun nipples of doom. What an immediately hilarious character. He pretends like he's this mild-mannered Clark Kent type. Let's shake. It's a fair fight that way. And then he just does a friggin' joy buzzer on you like the Joker. His maniacal personality courtesy of Josh Keaton, who played the spectacular Spider-Man, so get you a man who can do both, I guess. The fight with Destroy Man in the first game is a lot of fun, because, again, he shoots lasers out of his dick. He has machine guns coming out of his nipples. He's able to fly because he's got like a totally visible crane lifting him from his back. This boss fight is really easy, but I don't really care that much because just the amount of superhero camp drizzling from this boss fight, it's worth at least an A. Holly Summers. She marks an immediate turning point in Travis's journey. You start to learn that Travis really does not like killing women. He does do plenty of that over the series later, but mostly out of self-defense, because you do kind of learn that he does have this weird, kind of hypocritical, like, chivalry about him. It's kind of one of the things that you start to realize makes Travis a really fascinating character, because depending on how you feel about him, he is repugnant in the first game and debatably doesn't get much better over the course of the series, but he does have this weird sense of honor about him, and he feels genuinely moved when Holly blows herself up after the boss fight. Holly herself, like most of the assassins in this game, immediately sees right through Travis and his bullshit. The boss fight with her is interesting. There's a lot of stage hazards in the form of trap holes that you can fall into where she'll throw a grenade in the hole once you've fallen, and you have to, like, mash the buttons to get out. It's a little annoying to deal with, but I can at least say that if you fall in, it's your fault. Overall, for the sheer emotional torque of this boss fight, I've gotta put it in S tier at least. Skipping over Let's Shake, because he is not a boss fight, yet. We have got Harvey Moisewicz Wolodarski. And fun fact, he's voiced by James Horan, who you might also know as Skullface from Metal Gear Solid 5. When you hear Harvey speaking with this hokey Russian accent and saying the immortal line, "Somebody turn on the lights, I can't see shit!" it kind of puts some of Skullface's outbursts into a bit of perspective, doesn't it? Travis, such a lust for blood! Woo! So I really like the concept for the fight with Harvey. He's a magician who kills you with stage tricks. I mean, if you've seen Christopher Nolan's The Prestige, you know how that can work sometimes. The boss fight itself is flashy, but it is bar none the easiest fight in the game. You really have to try to lose this one. At this point, you've got a better beam katana, you can shake out of his one-hit kill move, which, again, you have to try to let his one-hit kill move kill you, because there's a lot of build-up and telegraphing for it. We do sort of start to see a bit of Travis's backstory, because he mentions that his parents are dead here, but honestly, the character himself is a little lackluster. Funny concept and fun line delivery, I'll put him in B. Travis, I'm burning up! What even was Skullface? Speedbuster. Okay, so when I first heard about No More Heroes, I was like, there's a boss fight that's an old lady with a shopping cart that shoots lasers at you? Yo, that sounds fucking incredible! It's the worst boss in the game! One of the other ports of the original No More Heroes, I think to the PS3 or 360, the re-release of that doesn't even count her as a boss, if I remember correctly. Because it's really not. Sort of. She can kill you with her giant laser beam that goes down a single long street, but most of the fight is just like hiding in houses and beating up the odd mooks that try to kill you. It's so disappointing. Her character's okay. She expresses that she doesn't like men, although after she kills Travis's mentor, Thunder Ryu, she does admit that she found him honorable. Other than that, there really isn't that much to Speedbuster as a character, or even really as a boss fight. I'm gonna put her in D. Bad Girl. Apart from Shinobu, probably the most iconic assassin boss in the entire series, and for good reason. She is absolutely insane, and she serves the purpose of basically pitting Travis against the cold, hard reality of what the fuck he is getting himself into. Oh, Travis, you want fame and glory because you kill people? Well, guess what? This is your company! Immediately, you know jack about Bad Girl. There are no redeeming qualities to her. She is just insane, bloodthirsty, and honestly, probably what most sane people would think an assassin is like. Not this samurai, honorable type that Travis seems to think he is. And then Travis Strikes Again happened. The whole plot of that game is that Bad Girl's father has come to steal the 7 death balls, and resurrect Bad Girl herself. And as you'd expect, it goes into Bad Girl's backstory, and it's heartbreaking. She was a sweet kid who got fucked up by her father being an assassin. Her father's handlers wanted to see her warped into this fucked up psycho for sport. She is resurrected in the DLC for Travis Strikes Again, and she returns in No More Heroes 3, and it gets even more heartbreaking. Spoiler alert, her father is murdered. And you actually see Bad Girl be vulnerable and human. You see this broken, needy shell of a person, and it's just... fuck. See, I'm fine with Bad Girl not having a backstory, because it fits within the overall purpose and theme of No More Heroes 1. But the backstory we got, I would not take away. And I've just realized I haven't even talked about her boss fight yet. Her boss fight is really damn good. Incredible music. Her boss fight is genuinely really hard. She launches BDSM gimps with her baseball bat at rocket speed, and then beats the shit out of Travis while mounting him. Yeah, gee, I wonder why people remember Bad Girl. It's not like she's impossible to forget. This complete friggin' psychopath in this dress that's equal parts sweet and smutty. Yeah, she's going an S+. She's an icon for a friggin' reason. Okay, Jean. This boss fight is more interesting for the character herself, and the ultimate culmination of this game's themes, because Travis, who thinks of himself as this cool samurai assassin type, turns out he came from a real shit home. Jean explains it herself, but her backstory is literally so dark, they had to speed it up to get past the censors.
What if the game gets delayed? You don't want this to become No More Heroes forever, do you?
So yeah, Jean is Travis's half-sister, and also possibly former lover. The boss fight with Jean's okay. It's less interesting than her coming in, killing this Darth Vader knockoff, and then explaining Travis's horrific backstory, but the fight's still good. She's really fast, like even faster than Shinobu was, using mixed martial arts to attack Travis. You actually can't wrestle her because she is better than you at it. Honestly, I don't have much to say about the fight, but the character herself just being this traumatized figure who wants to kill the past, that's a recurring theme in Suda's work. The horrible truth about everything, the melancholic end to it all, Jean's going into S tier. But of course, we can't end on a sad note, can we? because we gotta fight Mr. Sir Henry motherfucker, and he's going into S tier because it's Henry! You're fighting your cool, handsome brother in a parking lot at your motel. The boss fight takes forever, which is, in my opinion, a bit of a knock against it. He's got maybe 6, 7 attacks, and you do kind of get used to them all at first, so it's a bit repetitive. He only really gains one new attack as he loses health, and it's a good one. It's his epic insta-kill attack where he launches you into the air and just fucking yeets you into the ground. And then, of course, he reveals that he is Travis's twin brother, and they battle into the sunset. There's a lot of self-referential humor, and it is great. It is a memorable conclusion to an already awesome game. So, it's Henry. He belongs in S tier. And now we get into No More Heroes 2, the game all about Travis realizing that his mindless violence does indeed have consequences, because a few of the bosses in this game are relatives of people that Travis killed in the first game, including the brother of someone who died in the game's trailer, and a certain person related to 3 people that were killed in side missions. This is the only game in the series that has the first thing you do be a boss fight, and it's cool. Skelter Helter pretty much apes every Final Fantasy trope in the book. Like, he's got the crazy revolver and the totally not Buster Sword. He rips into Travis for killing his brother, and yet Travis doesn't even remember who his brother was. Great setup for how he's going to develop later in the game. And the boss fight itself, it's pretty standard, but I think it's a bit flashier than Death Metal. It's simple, he doesn't gain many new attacks as he loses health, but he doesn't need to, because he's there to ease you in and let you learn how the game works. And then, of course, the way he dies. And then doesn't die. And then rips his own head off. While delivering ominous, poetic dialogue about Travis's character arc coming up. Overall, an incredible start to the game. I'm gonna put him in A tier, right in front of Death Metal himself. Nathan Copeland. First thing I want to say is Carrie Payton, cyborg from Teen Titans no less, sells the charm and charisma of this cult leader, religious fanatic, and playboy. He reminds me a bit of Death Metal in that he's kind of world-weary about all the violence he's committed to get this lifestyle. In fact, I've heard that Nathan was actually a rejected proposal for a boss from the first game, and the boss fight itself is a clusterfuck. Nathan himself on his own is fine, but over the course of the battle, he activates all of these traps across the battlefield that are increasingly hard to avoid. They can stun you while Nathan beats the crap out of you, and you end up having to lure him over into rooms where there are no traps, just to stand a chance. Overall, I'd say he's alright. I'll put him in C. Yuri Lowenthal playing against type as the macho guy!
After this, I'm gonna touch you down!
What a fun character. I love how hammy he is, how he seems to really respect, quote-unquote, Travis and his cool name. He's the first of many cheat bosses in this game, where he's rank 25 after you just killed rank 50, because everything between him and Nathan are literally just his cheerleaders.
You gonna fight me with all your hoes?
Who all fuse with Charlie to become a giant robot. And you have your own giant robot now, based off Travis's favorite anime. And you fight in the middle of a city, and it's awesome! I mean, it's bare bones, but just the ridiculousness of the scenario and the ham that Charlie spits out all the time in the battle. Holy shit! It's pure mindless spectacle, but I kinda love it. I'm gonna put him in A tier. Kimmy Howell. Oh, what a cutscene before the fight. Someone idolizing Travis Touchdown. She's playing her recorder, looking all wholesome, while Travis reads a love letter by her that details how she wants to behead him. The fight's alright. She fights with a Darth Maul lightsaber. It's kinda cool, but the character being so endearingly peppy and simultaneously psychotic is really what makes this one go into A tier for me. Matt Helms. This fight is legitimately pretty spooky. Matt himself has this weird-looking mask. It's heavily implied that he's the spirit of a dead child, and you actually see that dead ghost child walking around and saying how he wants to kill Travis. Unfortunately, since he's kind of a ghost, and he just kind of appears out of nowhere. There isn't really much to say about his backstory. The fight itself is just kind of okay. The music rocks. It's one of at least 2 pieces of music in the game composed by Silent Hill alumni Akira Yamaoka. There are a lot of walls, a lot of breakable walls that kind of get in the way in this fight. Some of Matt's attacks can be kind of annoying to dodge, like his Molotov cocktails and his flamethrower. I'm gonna put it in C. Chloe Walsh. There's a lot good about this fight that I think a lot of people kind of gloss over. I kind of interpret it as Travis, pervert that he is, kind of thinking he's going to get laid with this creepy lady in a prison that he just freed. But no, she just wants to kill him. That's literally her only interest. She's a sadist. And Travis is genuinely put off by this, which I think kind of implies to me that he won't just jump the bones of anyone that moves. There is perhaps more to his attraction to Sylvia later on than meets the eye, because he's found someone just as fucked up as he is.
Your crazy matches my crazy.
The fight with Chloe herself, though, is notoriously the easiest fight in the entire series. Even on the highest difficulty, if you use the Peony Beam Katana, every single hit will drain 1 square on that circle around her. This fight kind of strikes me as a bit of wasted potential, because all of her attacks look cool. Fighting this super-powered mutant who's kind of unexplained, it's kind of a decent shock to the system. But again, the fight just really is so easy. Her attacks are easy to break out of or avoid. I think she's more interesting than people give her credit for, but still, I think C is appropriate. The Big Battle Royale! What a joke that was. What sort of opponents do you fight in this thing? A fight with 12 assassins? Absolutely fucking nobody except the return of Let's Shake. See, you've got to appreciate one thing about this fight. Let's Shake in the first game was kind of a bait and switch boss, where the original Let's Shake shows up with this giant earthquake machine that Travis somehow has to deal with, but before you can even fight him, he is killed by Henry. The irony in this is delicious. I was laughing my ass off the first time I played No More Heroes 2 at this moment. And the character himself? Pretty endearing. He speaks in this serious, scientific, robotic voice while saying punctuation like question mark, which kind of reminds me of my day job as a re-speaker for a weather station. We've got a mix of sun and cloud in the Barrie region, thunderstorms likely in the Toronto region, period. The fight itself is kind of repetitive because most of the fight is just him using the earthquake machine and only getting slightly faster. Honestly, I'm just amazed that they managed to make this weird concept for a boss actually work. This isn't the most popular boss fight in the world, but goddammit, I'm putting it in A tier. Oh boy, we've got the 2 boss fights that Shinobu has to deal with. First off, we've got Million Gunman. Who the hell even was this? Like, he's the president of a bank. Cool. We literally know nothing else about his character. I mean, I think back to Dr. Peace, who had this whole big spiel about his family, and you kinda empathize with him. Million Gunman is just some guy. He's got a gold gun, like a discount Dr. Peace, ironically. He's usually seen as the most forgettable boss in the series, and he is. The boss fight with him isn't really good either, because, like, Shinobu's gameplay, as I mentioned in her segment, is kinda janky. I will say this, I actually kind of admire the concept for the battle. It's multi-layered, you actually have to jump around to get anywhere, you're kind of chasing him around. The boss fight's a bit more fun than I think a lot of people give it credit for, especially when you get your handle on Shinobu herself. Especially her combos and just not letting her finish her combos before she gets stun-locked by her taunting. Yeah, but otherwise, the boss fight's pretty bad. It belongs in D. New Destroy Man. This fight fucking sucks balls. This is so much worse than Million Gunman. New Destroy Man as a character, it's Destroy Man from the first game. Like, in this game, you kind of get the literal split personality thing going on, because the first Destroy Man kind of had a Jekyll and Hyde thing, and now you've got one Destroy Man who is, like, always just and upfront, and the other one is cowardly and psychotic. It's kind of more of the same from the first game, except the dialogue is also a lot creepier and kind of cringy. The coward Destroy Man is what makes this the second worst boss fight in the series. This fight can take you upwards of 15 minutes on bitter mode. Even after you defeat the first Destroy Man, the rest of the fight is like 10 drawn-out minutes of the coward Destroy Man flying away from you to somewhere high where you can't reach him in time, then landing down for you to get a few hits on him before he tries to resurrect the other Destroy Man. Not to mention, while the two Destroy Men are active, the coward can snipe you from a distance while you're busy fighting the other one. It's just... it is so not fun. This fight just sucks. I'm putting it in D. The bottom of D. Ryuji, okay, lots of mixed feelings about this boss fight. It kind of has two phases, where you meet him and you're both on a bike, and you kind of have this bike sumo wrestling match, and it just sucks and doesn't play well at all. And then you have the actual fight with him, which is okay. I mean, kind of reminds me a lot of Henry in the first game, where there's a lot of dodging involved because some of his attacks can't be blocked. And he also has the ability to summon a giant laser dragon, like the fake-out boss from the first game, Darkstar, uses. And it's cool, if very, very easy to just get hit by, because it swarms the battlefield and interrupts your battle with Ryuji himself. What I also like is how it ends, where without any words at all, you kind of feel this, like, admiration between Ryuji and Travis for having this showdown together. And then, of course, Ryuji gets gunned down like a dog by Sylvia because Travis is actually showing honor and mercy to somebody that he respects. Continues sort of down that path over the course of the game, which is cool to see. I don't know, I might actually make my own tier for Ryuji. I call this the BL, or borderline tier, because Ryuji is a boss fight that has a lot of incredible things about him, but also a lot of terrible things. I mean, I imagined the tier meaning one thing, but if you take a listen to this old teaser trailer for No More Heroes 2, featuring Ryuji and Travis after battle, take a listen to that and tell me it doesn't sound like another type of BL. Mimi, aka Henry's otaku fever dream. At this point, Henry is recovering after being frozen by Let's Shake earlier in the game. He's sleeping in Travis's room, so he imagines this hybrid mecha loli thing, and it's weird. But you get to play as Henry, and that's cool. You can just cheese the hell out of this fight by spamming his long-range projectile attack. You get to dash all over the place, which is fun. And then at the end, you're treated to a shot of Travis jerking off. Okay. Yeah, I got nothing. B. Margaret. Fucking Kino boss fight. S+. It's the song. Philistine. You hear it once, it never leaves. This catchy number, all about knocking Travis down a peg for being this hypocritical loser who thinks he's hot shit. At the end, Travis actually kinda does show that he cares and remembers the song, and by extension, Margaret. And it really goes to show how Travis is slowly changing as a person, starting to respect the humanity of the people he battles. Before he kills them, of course. The fight itself is easy, not helped by the abundance of extra health you can get here, but it's still really cool. Margaret's design is incredible. I love this graceful, ethereal, gothic style she's got going. Her weapons are scythes that can be flipped around to become rifles. Such a cool concept for a modern assassin. Literally death itself. We all love Margaret here. We stan. Captain Vladimir. Another incredible boss fight. It's flashy because he shoots all these lasers from his helmet and they fall from the skies from his ship. The sun slowly starts rising as you deal more damage to him. He starts losing some of the wires and tubing as he slowly starts to regain his sanity. He clearly didn't know where he was, and yet he was registered as an assassin in the association. You kind of have to wonder if he was exploited for that. Like, he was ranked without his permission so that he could fight a ghost astronaut. Just that whole treatment just makes Travis feel really uncomfortable because He's just a wayward soul who wanted to return home. And he does, and it's a really peaceful, moving scene. Of all things, from No More Heroes. So yeah, cool boss fight, atmospheric as hell, kind of poignant in its own way. I'm gonna put him at the top of S tier. Maybe not as much of an icon as someone like Margaret, but amazing otherwise. Alice. The best boss from No More Heroes 2, and still quite possibly the best fight in the series. At this point, Travis is really starting to get disillusioned with people being exploited as tools for entertainment, because even though he's had to kill to make his way here, he's become increasingly unsettled by the humanity he has found along the way, even if these are fucked up people like him. The apex of this whole character arc for Travis is right here and now, because he has finally met someone who understands what he's going through, someone who is just as addicted to violence and bloodshed, yet simultaneously wants to be free of that cycle of death and vengeance. And then the fight itself, like, if you're using the Rose Nasty double blades, this fight becomes a dancing flurry of swords, because Alice's weapon allows her to use 6 beam katanas at once. One thing I've also learned in the years after playing No More Heroes 2 is that there's a lot of symbolism in place in this fight relating Alice to an Asura from Hindu myth. They're addicted to the constant battle. 6 beam katanas call to mind the 6 arms of the Asura. There's a lot of thought put into this fight thematically. Years ago, I made a video with Talekeeper Sherry about this very topic. I'll post a link to it in the description if you're interested. And then the end of this fight is incredible too, where Travis promises that he will never forget Alice, and after she's dead, just going off on Sylvia, saying he wants to tear down the UAA because of how exploitative it's become. And, well, wouldn't you know it, there's one person left in the UAA. The one who killed Travis's best friend. The one Travis still seeks vengeance for. Will he find satisfaction? Or a really shit boss fight? Jasper Bat Jr., here he is! Longtime viewers rejoice because I'm about to tear this boss fight a new one for like the friggin' 11th time. Okay, positives out of the way. The first time I fought Jasper, I was really disappointed because, I mean, look at him. He's this geek with buck teeth, glasses. Wouldn't you want Travis to fight like this cool badass like Henry in the end?
Is he emo or grunge? What's his fighting style?
It's not satisfying, and that's probably the point. This dorky-looking fuck that still happens to be the top-ranked assassin, I've kind of grown into it, honestly. I mean, take a look at the second form, where he's all buff, but he's still got the baby face. Tell me that's not funny, alright? What I can't forgive is the boss fight itself. It's just fucking... like, with New Destroy Man, it's bad enough that it's one bad boss fight. With Jasper, it's 3 of them. In a row. The first fight forces you to do a clash with him, which is very unintuitive to figure out at first, because normally that's reserved for, like, swords and shit, not a sword versus a flying toy car. The second phase of the boss fight is the worst thing ever, because he can punch you out a window, which is a one-hit kill. As he loses more health, he gets the ability to teleport and punch you, which is dodgeable, but you have to have, like, split-second accuracy with that, and ain't nobody gonna get good at that unless they've fought Jasper a million times. Like me. Why would you do that? Are you a masochist? He's got these tornado punches near the end of the fight that can also knock you out of the window and are impossible to dodge. Like, literally, I'm almost certain they are impossible to dodge unless you get really lucky with your placement. The only way I've reliably managed to defeat Jasper in this form is by taking no damage throughout the rest of the fight, and then just spamming this super form right when he's about to use the tornado punches, so he doesn't get a chance to do that. You have to exploit the game, pretty much, in order for it to be a fair fight. It's just like, no. Fuck you. And then the third form, you have to get so close to him to hit him, but by that point, you're also so close that he is able to punch you almost unavoidably, and you'll have no time to react. I mean, it is satisfying to beat up his nose repeatedly. It's silly, but these games are silly. A lot of people think this boss fight was designed to suck on purpose, and I'm sorry, I still don't buy that. This isn't Spec Ops: The Line, where the game is actively encouraging you to stop playing. This is a video game that's got sequels, for God's sake. So, like, saying that this boss fight was designed to punish Travis and, by extension, the player for trying to complete his hollow quest for revenge is really dumb. I don't like this idea that Suda would go out of his way to show that much contempt for his audience. I could be completely wrong about this, but this is how I've always read what No More Heroes is all about. Of course, Travis Touchdown is a loser. He's an otaku with no job prospects, he's violent, borderline psychopathic, and yet at the same time, there is a weird kind of morality to him. I read it this way because this is also kind of what Suda is all about. He likes a lot of violent stuff. He loves wrestling, violent video games, Takashi Miike films. In fact, in an old interview with Nintendo Power, around the time No More Heroes 2 was coming out, he mentioned that he kind of views Travis like a wrestler, and he's kind of going through a face turn in desperate struggle. In fact, in Travis Strikes Again, in the visual novel segments, I recall him actively trying to discourage people from following the same path he did. And then in the third game, he straight up tries to stop an alien invasion. So, on Twitter, voice actor Garrick Schreiber described Travis as such a loser that he kind of warps back around into being genuinely cool. And yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I love Travis even though he sucks. So, what the hell am I trying to say about this? I went on a million different tangents there. The final boss of No More Heroes 2, Jasper Bat Jr., it sucks. It's not good. It's not fun. It's not even particularly deep.
You're just confused. You've forgotten how to judge correctly. Take a deep breath. Look at it again. Oh, it's a piece of shit.
F. I mean, it's certainly more memorable than something like Million Gunmen, but at this point, who cares? There's a lot of shit in your life that is memorable for the wrong reasons. Much like this boss. And now we move on to the dark horse of the series, Travis Strikes Again. So what did I think of that game? I like it for the most part. It's a very atypical game. It's kind of a side game with No More Heroes. I've heard that it's basically designed to be a celebration of Suda's work as a whole, because it has a ton of references to a lot of his older games like The Silver Case, and especially Shadows of the Damned, which we'll get into. The whole gist of this game is that Travis and Bad Girl's father, the Bad Man, go inside this haunted console called the Death Drive Mark II. You learn about the creations of a game developer named Dr. Juvenile. She designed a bunch of games called Death Balls that were never released. While you play this, you kind of learn about the mindset that Juvenile was going through when she made these, which is a not-so-thinly veiled look into Suda's own psyche as he develops his own work. Most of the levels in this game are genuinely a pain to go through. They're often way too long, very repetitive. The third level, in particular, Coffee and Donuts, do not play that with your significant other. That will test your relationship more than IKEA furniture. There's this part with, like, floating donut platforms. If one of you falls, you both suffer. You will be so mad at each other by the end. Sucks. I hate it. Even though the levels were kind of drudgery, the boss fights in this game are actually pretty good. And there's also the unexpected highlight in this game of the visual novel segments, which kind of highlights Suda's ability as a storyteller. But you're here for the boss fights, so let's get into that. Electro Triple Star. Honestly, probably my least favorite first boss in the series. It's not bad, it's just kind of forgettable in my opinion. Travis seems to idolize this character from an old video game that he played, and that's really all there is. Like, he's got a tragic backstory, kind of cliche and stock. The boss fight itself is pretty generic. Lots of typical, like, electric attacks. He summons an enemy gauntlet in the middle of it, and you have to destroy these generators to get him back into the field. I'll put him in C. Mr. Doppelganger. This is where that angle about the game development process really starts to come into play, because Mr. Doppelganger is based off an actual serial killer that Dr. Juvenile knew, and effectively raised her. She's effectively placing a bit of her own trauma into this horror puzzle game. So, bit of a weird tangent to go on, but I don't know how many people knew this, but before becoming a game developer, Suda was a mortician. Not making this up. That fascination and experience working with death influenced his body of work. And I kind of see that reflected in Dr. Juvenile and her experiences living with this serial killer. I think this is genuinely a really fascinating game to look at if you want to really dive into the psyche of a game dev. Back to the boss fight itself, honestly, I really do not have much to say for this one. It's a pretty standard hack and slash boss fight. Mr. Doppelganger attacks with corkscrews, which is an interesting choice of weapon. True to his name, midway through the fight he'll start multiplying himself, and in order to stop this super deadly attack, you have to attack the right one. And I shit you not, the real Mr. Doppelganger is always the one that is dabbing. Interesting character, boss fight's just kind of okay. I'll put him in B. Brian Buster Jr. Taking the crown for the absolute weirdest boss in the series. He's a prince from a fictional Scandinavian country who was blinded, and his father is dead, and his father's brain is inside a giant robot made mostly of wood. Coffee and donuts are able to revive him from the dead. Apparently, Brian Buster Jr. in the game itself, when you actually enter Coffee and Donuts, he just wants to die. He doesn't want to be resurrected, as you keep doing throughout this game. So when you actually battle him, he's pretty pissed at you, and you're there to actually grant his wish. Again, kind of a demented concept for a boss fight. Not one of my favorites. It's very cramped. The giant mech Olverian is very bulky and hard to get around. And then later in the fight, there is an even bigger robot in the distance that fires, like, tons of orbital lasers. It's cool, but something about it doesn't really resonate with me. It is cool that, like, once the robot blows up and you're just left with Brian himself, he's just this crippled old man stumbling around blind with a sword. That's a pretty memorable image. For just how weird this is, and yet how little this one affected me compared to most boss fights in Travis Strikes Again, I'll put him in C. Smoking King, or as I like to call him, Redemption for the Ryuji boss fight. Because this actually starts with a bike race, and unlike the sumo fight in No More Heroes 2, this actually plays a lot better. It's much more a puzzle about button combinations more than anything else, but I couldn't help but notice I wasn't having a bad time with this compared to Ryuji. The core boss fight is also pretty good. It's in this lavish bath. Smoking King himself seems to be this honorable sumo warrior slash racer, and they have a nice, respectable battle as equals. This fight is hard as balls, by the way. Like, for his size, Smoking King is fast. If you're so used to No More Heroes just being a hack and slash, the addition of jumping in Travis Strikes Again is going to throw you off, because he has attacks that need to be jumped over. Plus, he can leave behind trails of gasoline that he can ignite, making the arena not even safe. It's a hard boss fight, but a fun one. I'd say he belongs at the top of B. 8 Hearts. So, Suda51 made a fake sequel to Shadows of the Damned in another video game of his. He calls it Damned Dark Knight, and you actually go through it in Travis Strikes Again. Apparently the main character from Shadows of the Damned fucking dies, and his gun partner becomes a superhero called 8 Hearts to face off the demons. As Travis, you fight 8 Hearts as, like, 2 heroes going mano a mano. They have great mutual respect for each other. Travis is like, "No way! You're the Johnson?" The fight is pretty good. Considering 8 Hearts, or Johnson, used to be a gun, he's got a lot of long-range attacks, but he's got very shonen, like, jumping punches and stuff. The music in it, called Welcome to Hell, is just this chill jam that is, like, Suda's music. It's always dope. So, why is this in Travis Strikes Again? It's almost blatant. in the game's text that this is Suda's way of coping with EA's executive meddling on the Shadows of the Damned project. In a visual novel scene before Travis is able to enter this game, he tries to take the Damned Dark Knight Death Ball from the clutches of a corrupt CEO named Damon Riccitiello, who stole the Damned Dark Knight project away from Dr. Juvenile before beating her senseless. Travis, again having standards, is disgusted by this and beats the living shit out of Damon for what he did. The punchline? Damon Riccitiello is based off a real person. The former CEO of EA while Suda was making Shadows of the Damned, John Riccitiello. You think Suda was maybe working some shit out?
When you are 6 hours into playing Battlefield and you run out of ammo in your clip and we ask you for $1 to reload, you're really not very price sensitive at that point in time.
8 Hearts is going into S tier. Fuck EA! The final boss of Travis Strikes Again, Dr. Juvenile herself, in the guise of the White Sheep Man. You have literally been transported to the real-life CIA to actually slaughter real people as revenge for them wanting to use the death drive technology to create super soldiers. One thing I really like about this boss fight is that Travis kind of tries to have a heart-to-heart with Juvenile, saying, well, he does his usual otaku shtick of saying, oh man, I love your work, but here's some shit I'd change about it. He does kind of sympathize with her going through all this tumult on the way to just making games and expressing herself. The shit with the CIA and Riccitiello. Again, it's impossible not to see this game as Suda reflecting on his own experiences making games. For that, the character of Dr. Juvenile is really, really fascinating. The boss fight itself is fantastic too, because you've got a lot of attacks that are hard to dodge, shockwaves that you have to jump over, basically turning the entire floor into a weapon, a giant fucking spirit bomb that can rain down from the sky if you don't destroy these things in time. I'm gonna put this one at the top of A because it's fantastic, but a few things about it are a little vague. But before we get into No More Heroes 3, we gotta talk about the DLC boss from Travis Strikes Again. Silverface. Okay, so where do I even start with this boss fight? The game that you have to play in order to get to Silverface is... it's a pinball machine. It's a pinball machine with, like, an assassin theme to it. And you're literally just doing beat-em-up gameplay through the walls of the pinball machine. What's funny about this fight is, because it's a pinball machine, the boss himself, Silverface, is not violent by nature, but because the theming is assassin-related, it's like he has to fight you. He's not bad, he's just programmed that way. And as if that weren't enough, he literally does not have the stomach to be a killer. He's kind of a wimp, and he's also really upset about being DLC, and he says people only want to play as Bad Girl and not fight him. Suda just fucking with game design to the very end, this man. The boss fight itself is really hard. He can attack you from a distance with really quick attacks that pull you in for more damage. He can also convert the entire pinball stadium into a machine of death with, like, spikes on the edges. He can turn the bumpers into laser fields. The boss fight's good, is what I'm trying to say, but the real gem in this fight is the music. Philistine might be, like, the most iconic boss tune in the series, but I would argue that Silverface's boss theme, called On Your Mark, Get Set, Go, is even better. It is this total banger that goes so hard about how much Silverface sucks.
I'm the underdog, ignore my fate, favorite gave a fuck, in the first place, I'm just getting bugged, like a Silverface, I'm just digging in that motherfucking record crate, that pussy sweet, on the first date, I ain't had shit, on the dinner plate, the boss man shitted on my fucking chest plate, thinking way too hard, I think I over contemplate.
Just what a boss fight, man. Silverface is getting S tier for sure. And finally, we are at No More Heroes 3, and I just want to say, for this game to have come out 11 years after No More Heroes 2, seeing people tell me that, like, I helped get them into this series, and now actually seeing it have enough of a following that it's able to get to this point. Seeing Travis Touchdown have a Mii costume in Super Smash Bros. I mean, maybe I had some impact on that, maybe I didn't. All I know is I'm just really happy to experience this all over again with all of you. So, what's the theme of No More Heroes 3? Of course, it's a game where aliens invade, and Travis has to stop the invasion, and prove that he's this hero that he's been developing into over the course of the series. See, immediately this game references the current pop culture boom of superhero fiction thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Of course, the aliens style themselves as superheroes, and Travis kind of thinks he's the last hero around. He forms a ragtag band of his old cohorts to face down the aliens. What's interesting about this is that Suda51 has collaborated with a certain director in the MCU, that being James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. They worked together previously on Lollipop Chainsaw. Still have to play that game, by the way. My interpretation on the central theme of No More Heroes 3 is, it's sort of spelled out in the game itself through the chapter names, like, the final chapter is called Friends, the friends that Travis has made along his journey by becoming a better person, and his contrast with Fu and how he treats his alien cohorts. The Guardians of the Galaxy films are all about this group of anti-hero misfits that become a family of genuine heroes in their own weird way. And as the game progresses, it just made me think, like, this is like a spiritual adaptation of Guardians of the Galaxy. If I had to compare the tone of No More Heroes 3 to something else, it would be Twin Peaks: The Return. I don't know if anyone remembers my old video about Twin Peaks, but it returned too and made a sequel 25 years after it left air. The tone of both Twin Peaks: The Return and No More Heroes 3 are both, like, shades and shades darker than their original source material. Both in Twin Peaks: The Return and No More Heroes 3, the town that most of the series takes place in is in total disarray. Everything is dilapidated, run down. It's a place locked out of time, and the passage of time is another important theme in both Twin Peaks and No More Heroes. I'll touch upon all of these themes as we go through the boss fights, and speaking of which, let's start off with the game's first boss fight, Mr. Black Hole. This alien is very surprisingly affable. He's kind of a hick, but he seems to strike a decent rapport with Travis. They act all chummy, and he casually drops the giant bomb of information that Prince Fu, his boss, blew up his own planet, and you're on what's left during the boss fight. So, remember that thing I was saying with, like, this game talking about how Travis treats his friends versus how Fu does? Fu calls all of the aliens in the galactic superhero rankings his buddies. He blew up one of his buddies' home planet. What a guy. What a stand-up man, that Fu. The boss fight with Mr. Black Hole is pretty good. Like, with a name like that, you can expect, like, a lot of black hole-themed attacks. He warps all over the place. He gets the drop on you, literally. He can send his arms through portals to shank you with them. And he's a decent tutorial boss because, like with Travis Strikes Again, you also can jump in this game, and there are some attacks that can only be avoided by jumping. What's interesting about No More Heroes 3 is that there are also a lot of bosses with multiple phases, although a lot of them only have one phase in their time machine refight. So in this fight, there's a second phase where you fight him in space with your mech suit. It kind of reminds me of something you'd see in Platinum games where, like, this huge spectacle is the first boss you fight. You're fighting a giant space alien in a giant mech. That's badass. Although you don't get to fight the in-space part of the fight through the time machine, which is a bit disappointing. Overall, though, I'd say Mr. Black Hole is a pretty decent start. He belongs in B, I think. Gold Joe.
Oh, snap!
You know how Suda likes to think of Travis as like a wrestler? He's got the wrestling moves, he's got the heel face turn going on. This fight really reminds me of a wrestling match because now you've got like an electric fence that surrounds everything, and your goal is to shove Gold Joe into the fence and then beat the shit out of him while he's down, using magnets!
Yeah, bitch!
There are these colored tiles on the ground that kind of give you a certain polarity. Like, if he uses a north-themed attack that's designed to draw you in and potentially deal massive damage at close range, you can actually step on another panel that will change your polarity and instead push him away, thereby shoving him into the electric fence.
Magnets! Oh!
The character's pretty fun, but there's not really much more to this than just an entertaining boss fight. Sometimes that's all you need, though. I'm gonna put him in B. Native Dancer. No More Heroes 3 has come under a bit of criticism for having a lot of bosses that seem like you're gonna be fighting one alien guy, but they get killed in favor of someone different. Maybe someone from a past game, maybe somebody new. This is the first instance of that. Personally, I don't really mind too much because, really, it still promised me a boss fight, just maybe not the one I was expecting. By contrast, I was a lot angrier after Henry steals your kills after defeating Mimi in No More Heroes 2. He beat 3 bosses off screen. I could have fought those. Back to Native Dancer. This guy is Travis's grandson from the future. It's not a bad duel boss. Like, he does a lot of sword swipes and punches. He can do some fancy acrobatics and jump you from the air and maybe create shockwaves. More clones as well, kinda like a somewhat flashier death metal. His design is really cool. Designed by someone who worked on Borderlands 3. I'll say this much though, he did kind of come right out of nowhere, and for Travis's grandson from the future, I do feel like he was a bit less fully realized than he perhaps could have been. For that, I'll put him in a low B. The rematch with Kimmy, aka Kimmy Love. Now, how do you top the insane love letter from 2? A fucking rap battle.
Something to think about. You got a big mouth. Keep it shut, bitch, or get knocked the fuck out.
Robin Atkin Downs and Jennifer Hale trying to out-diss each other. Genuinely hilarious and charming. Just a standout moment of No More Heroes 3. And the boss fight itself immediately kind of flips the emotions right on its head. Because the rap battle's funny, but you kind of realize that Kimmy is a changed person over the years. She's no longer this starry-eyed fangirl, and instead a bitter assassin with the sole desire of just killing Travis. And the music that plays with all this flashy, cutesy imagery in the background is this really sad, melancholic beat. I felt so many things in this boss fight, holy crap. Because she's so driven to keep trying to kill Travis. It's kill or be killed, right? I spoke before about the passage of time and how that can change people for the better and the worse. This is one of those examples, and just for how much that fight shook me, I'm gonna put this one in S. The battlefield does sort of get in the way because the giant stuffed animals in the back fire lasers that can chase you, and there's explosions of fire from the stage. The difference, though, between this and something like Nathan Copeland is the stage hazards are much better telegraphed, and they don't overwhelm and cause a complete cluster. Near the end of the fight, the camera also starts to change as a drone starts filming the fight live, and it adds a little extra difficulty because it screws up your sense of perception, just adding a little extra visual flair to the fight as well. It's overall a really, really good fight. Rest in peace, Kimmy. You were a lot of fun. Velvet Chair Girl.
You know, I actually kind of like this stuff.
Drugs. This boss fight is musical chairs. With this dope, mellow, lo-fi beat playing in the background. It's just like... And if you lose the game of musical chairs, her pet octopus, Oma, it lasers you and you die in a puff of animation. And just like with Kimmy, the emotions of this fight take a complete 180 afterwards because Velvet Chair Girl, after losing a game of musical chairs, commits suicide. And then you have to fight her grieving pet octopus. And it's upsetting as you just see this thing, like, crying and melting away, just... Like, as far as the boss fight itself goes, you're literally just walking around this octopus while it shoots insta-kill death lasers at you. That's its only attack. The gameplay is kind of bare bones for this boss fight, but it still left me feeling a lot of things. Like, why the hell is it yelling the name Adrian? Is that the Velvet Chair Girl's real name? Does she really like Rocky?
Adrian!
I'm going to put Velvet Chair Girl in a very confused A tier. Yo, Adrian! Midori Midorikawa. I love her. I love her character so much.
During my rebellious period, I wore lots of Kimidori green. I was disappointed in myself for not wearing my favorite color, red.
She's just peppy and endearing, but she doesn't take Travis's bullshit, calls his otaku obsessions lame. You just kind of roll with her shenanigans. She's just, like, upfront about her backstory and who she is. Like, even though she escaped the black hole prison with Fu, she really does not give a shit about him either. She just kind of flakes out on him and has to be reminded to go fight Travis. But she's all like, yo, don't mess with me. My boyfriend will fuck you up too. And then her boyfriend, Kamui, just kind of shows up, trolls Fu for a bit by dodging all of his attacks and leaving Fu as pissed off as ever. It's great. You go through like a little horror section before you actually fight her, which is decently spooky, honestly. Midori's hands are alive. They've got eyes and teeth on them, and it's kind of scary looking. And then Travis says that, like, because she had to do a henshin to get her hands to come alive, he henshins himself and goes into his armor for this fight. Midori has a lot of fire and wind-based attacks. Like, she can create swords made out of wind, she can swamp the arena with fireballs, and if her wind and fire attacks combine in the arena, they can actually create even more devastating attacks from there. Midori is so powerful that her, like, shields of wind can break through the game and last into the open world. You will see those things in other boss fights if they appear after you've died. She will glitch the friggin' game. And prepare to see those a lot, because on the hardest difficulty, Death Mode, she is really, really hard. Like, you can't go near her when she puts up her shield because it's instantaneous, and if you're in the middle of a combo and she's about to put that up, you're dead. It's rough. It's fun fighting her in armor because the field you fight her in is really huge, and she lays a lot of fire traps around, so you can use this warping ability that you get to instantly attack her from anywhere. So another thing I really like about this fight is that it's not so subtly hinted that one of the reasons why Travis ultimately decides to spare Midori is because he kind of feels a bit of kinship with her as a parent. Yeah, by this point, Travis has 2 kids with Sylvia, and Midori's hands are apparently her actual children, as she's half demon. It's kind of cool seeing him actually stick to his word about not killing any more women. I like the character a lot. The fight's pretty cool. I'm gonna give her a high A. Destroyman Trueface. Like, he will just not die, to the point where there is already official artwork of a final Destroyman version if there is a No More Heroes 4. I mean, what can I say? It's Destroyman again. Literally, similar attacks. His fight does get harder as he loses more health, and some pretty difficult to dodge moves. Like, his Destroy Buster is pretty fast and it follows you for a long time, so you can interrupt him with your Death Glove skills. And what's kind of scary about this fight is that in its second phase, his upgraded Destroy Spark attack can actually disable your Death Glove. So in that phase, if he uses Destroy Cannon or Destroy Buster, if he catches you in a bad spot with either of those attacks and you can't interrupt him, you're gonna have a bad time. Plus, the portion of the fight where you're fighting this swarm of mass-produced Destroymen is pretty cool as well. At least none of them run away from you. But still, it's the same Destroyman shtick you've already seen. It's funny seeing Travis fall for the hand buzzer thing again. But really, the best part of this fight is that there is a new character who appears named Notorious, and he forms a bromance with Travis, and it is great. He's like the Apollo Creed to Travis's Rocky. I'm gonna put Destroyman Trueface at the bottom of B. Sonic Juice. This guy literally does not want to fight you your way, so you have to fight him his way, through a JRPG. A JRPG that trolls you. Most of your skills don't work, your summons are unavailable, and you can attack the text boxes and just end it right there. But you can actually fight him the proper way. Just use lightning to power up your beam katana and attack. The real fight with Sonic Juice, where you actually do your standard combat, it's pretty good. He's got a lot of attacks that are very tricky to dodge, involving water. Like an axle of water that sort of spins on the ground, giant tsunamis. I also kind of like that Travis decides not to kill Sonic Juice because They actually had a pretty stimulating discussion about JRPGs and had a decent, fair battle. And then Fu comes in to kill Sonic Juice because he is an asshole. I'm gonna put Sonic Juice in a mid-A. The rematch with Henry.
Don't cry, Travis! Don't cry! Don't you fucking cry! Travis!
Oh boy. So, you know how I was talking about the passage of time? Well, let's just say, Henry had a transformative experience while watching the movie Thor. No, I'm dead serious. He watched the movie Thor sometime before Travis Strikes Again, and he had this epiphany where he starts to realize that Travis is the Loki to his Thor. Although he's kind of got it backwards because it's Travis who's the brute who ends up developing genuine connections and becoming a better person, and Henry who ends up going insane and partnering up with aliens to take over the Earth. He also hints that watching Thor reawakens some past trauma involving their serial killer father, and so he just wants to bury the past as much as he can to get away from that, including killing Travis.
Let the past die. Kill it, if you have to.
Yeah. Talk about a slap back to reality. The fight with him is like, it's Alice levels of atmospheric. It's foggy, it's dark. The music is like this ambient remix of his old boss theme from the first game. He is very fast. He teleports. Turns into Sonic the Hedgehog. This fight kind of feels like a superhero brawl because, like, he's got all these crazy new moves and you've got your death glove skills to interrupt his attacks with. He is super aggro, but you're kind of on equal footing because if you're not fast with the timing, he can just cleave you to bits. Oh, and then he, survives getting cut in half and runs at you on only his arms before having to be beaten to a pulp. And then he's got clones. And then he murders Travis, and he is never seen again. This fight's fucking scary. I kinda love it. A lot of people are really not happy that Henry is so different than how he was, because, I mean, who doesn't love Henry from the first two games? He's just this chill, he's the cool, handsome foil. But people snap. And just the whole atmosphere of this fight is just like this feeling of, oh my god, what is going on? The music's menacing, the lighting is menacing, nothing feels right. I'm putting this in S+. But of course Travis survives that encounter and goes on to fight the Ivan Drago to his Rocky, Prince Fu, and this fight was hard as balls the first time I fought it, because Fu has this, like, armor that is always up, these glowing eyes that protect him from all attacks, and he lets that down for very few moves. When I first fought him, I kept dying over and over and over again because I just didn't know when I was able to hit him. And then, the more I replayed this fight, the more I started to catch on to things. There are certain attacks where if you use a certain Death Glove skill, it can pretty much just mess up his whole day. If he creates this big barrier that's impassable, you can warp right to the center with your Death Kick. If he's gonna attack you with this giant ball of energy that's really hard to dodge, use your Death Force to make it drop on him. It rewards you by actually thinking about how to use all of the tools in your kit, not just brute forcing it with your beam katana. This fight is satisfying as hell, especially when you pair that with the cutscene beforehand where Travis pretty much just lays down everything against Fu. Fu treats his friends like shit. He outright murders two of them before you can even fight one of them. Laughs when Mr. Blackhole dies. He treats his childhood friend Damon like shit too, because all he cares about is conquest. He's just an entitled brat who never learned how to grow up. Meanwhile, Travis, for all of his problems, has actually changed as a person. He's still an otaku, and he's still bloodthirsty, but he's gained friends through respect, even legit heroes like Notorious. He's become a much more mellow guy to just kind of hang around with. After everything in the past few games that he has done to grow as a person, this is where we see it come to the absolute height, where Travis is able to say, you know what, flaws and all, I'm going to protect this world from you.
Oh, nice, scary eyes. That's what I want to see. Come at me. Kill me. Demons don't got shit on me. I'll kill you! You're getting real fucking crazy now. That's what I'm talking about! Ah!
There is a second phase to this fight that's honestly kinda lame. Like, Fu creates like a giant UFO, and the fight is him using giant arms to punch you from within. Kinda reminds me of Phantom Ganon from Ocarina of Time a bit. But, honestly, I don't really mind it for a lot of reasons. First of all, the music kicks ass. It's called Nighthawk. The rematch with Fu in the Time Machine doesn't include this phase, so big whoop there. Then, midway through the fight, you have all of Travis's allies coming in to attack Fu, saving your ass. It's really cinematic, compared to something like the giant balloon from No More Heroes 2's Jasper fight. This is a lot more satisfying, in my opinion. And then everyone just beats the shit out of Fu. It's great. Honestly, this is one of my favorite fights. The first phase in particular is just like such a great test of skill, timing. It's an exam, but a really fun one. I'm putting Fu in S+, which leads us to the final showdown with Damon Riccitiello himself, the totally not former CEO of EA. The final boss fight of No More Heroes 3 takes place in a game of Super Smash Bros. You are beating up the former CEO of EA in Super Smash Bros. Yeah. It is satisfying as hell, seeing this total wormy piece of crap getting beat up. The fight actually feels kinda like a Super Smash Bros. Game as well, like, nothing too over the top in the way of final smashes, just Damon using certain attacks like simple swipes, summoning a shield of spikes, again, much like Henry, becoming Sonic Hedgehog. Or, since he's purple, would that be Cold Steel the Hedgehog? Nothing personnel, kid. Oh my god, that's totally something Travis would say. Nothing personnel, kid! It's a pretty standard boss fight, honestly. Fu feels like the real final battle of the game, but god damn it, who the character is and why it is so satisfying to beat the crap out of him. Seeing him howling and screaming that he doesn't want to die as he fades away. At this point, it's pure schadenfreude, but I don't care. Beating up Fu and Damon, two reprehensible people, in boss battles that are actually fun. Perfect catharsis. Great ending. I'm putting Damon in S tier. Whew, this went on a long time. Jeez, you think I like this series or what? And there it is, your definitive assassin rankings for the No More Heroes series. I'll say this much, I don't really have a definitive ranking for the S+ tier. I love them all equally. Everyone else in the tier list, though, you can probably rest assured that those are how I would rank them from each number on. So what did you guys think? Things you liked about this video? Things you didn't? What did you guys think of No More Heroes 3? Do you have a favorite boss fight in the series? A least favorite boss? And why is it Jasper? If you like this video and want to see more of my ramblings about video games, you can check me out on my Twitter at AlexRoshanVA. Also, like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell for more notifications about my next uploads. Thank you all for watching this video. It feels like it's been a long time coming. I'm so glad to revisit this series. And hopefully you'll stick with me for more videos like this. See you around, everyone.